lady is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes in with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you're hearing me or not. Let me know, please, as soon as you can. I don't know what's going on. I've got some serious issues happening here. I'm trying to get us still connected to the servers for the network, and I'm just having all kinds of fun. So, as you can imagine, nothing's working right now. I don't know what went sideways, but all kinds of things have gone sideways on me right now. So, hopefully we're connected. Hopefully you're hearing me. Let me know if you guys are hearing me everywhere, if you would, please. Okay, they can hear me on YouTube. Great. I appreciate that. If you can hear me in TFR, please let me know. I've got all kinds of problems here. I got like a whole new batch of problems, like as if my old problems weren't enough. Now I got a whole new batch, so that's great. It's just the love of the game, ladies and gentlemen, the love of the game. Hopefully we're getting it. Hopefully I'll get it ironed out here, but I can't hear anything other than my own voice, so I don't know if I'm broadcasting or not. Okay, Bam's hearing me on TFR. All right, fantastic. I've got nothing coming into my ears except my own voice. I'm not sure why that is, but it looks like I'm going to be winging it tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as we go through our journey on the Paranormal Portal. Sound issues like crazy. I don't know what the hell's going on. But we'll get it sorted. Don't worry. As long as you can hear me, that's the biggest thing. That's that's kind of the whole object of the show, is that you can hear me, and I do something incredible. I'm not believing that I can hear anything on the call lines, but let me check some settings here, if you don't mind bearing with me, ladies and gentlemen. Everything just hit the fan just as I was launching the show to get connected. I had to restart the whole system and plug and unplug and just go wacky in here. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm trying to sort it out. That's how we roll here on the Paranormal Portal. As just never know when that's going to hit the fan, but all you can do is do your best to be ready for it. Let's see, those are the correct speakers. Okay, that's the ones we want. I don't know. I'm not really sure why I'm not hearing anything, including my own intros and stuff. It looks like the system sounds are set up correctly. I'm just going to go into the control panel here. I realize this is not what you tuned in for. This is not the live tech troubleshooting show, but I got to work with this stuff so I can get into my groove here, ladies and gentlemen. So far, it's not working out real well for me, and I'm not sure why. Unless I mean, the soundboard even shows that it's hearing me. It's just nothing's coming out of there. So, not sure why. God, I love technology. I mean, I love it when it works. It's just when it doesn't work, it just about drills a hole through your skull. Well, I don't know. I can't fix it right now. I'll just continue to grind through this as best we can, and I'll look at it again during the break. Maybe I'll figure out something. But thank you for all the feedback. Those of you that are hearing me, I appreciate it. I was going to do some giveaways later in the show, but if I can't hear you, we might have to hold on to those until tomorrow night when Don's here. So hopefully between now and tomorrow, I'll get all this sorted out. I'm sure it's going to be something stupid, right? You know, like all these problems are always huge and amazingly earth-shattering, but then it turns out to be something just dumb. Like, oh, really? That was off? You know, one button somewhere that I'm missing. And, you know, when you got 50,000 different buttons and screens and crap, it's the way it rolls here on the Paranormal Portal. So anyway, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night. It's 2 hours of paranormal fun. Hopefully I'll succeed in keeping you all entertained. That's the object anyway. We'll see how. Oh my, the sound. What does that mean? Are you hearing me? Yeah, if you want a test call, Black Tree, that'd be great. I can try it. We'll see if you can hear me. That'd be fantastic. Julia, if you'll test call me, and then we'll at least know if the phones are functional, because that would be a big part of what's going on here. But yeah, it's like I got no sound other than my own microphone. So usually I can hear, you know, other things going on. Yeah, give me a break, YouTube. Now I get a warning message from YouTube. So it's like, yeah, we're on the right track. It's definitely a Paranormal Portal show. But we'll keep going here, and hopefully everything will work out, and we'll be able to do that. I don't see any call, Julia. I believe I'm connected. Let me check that just to be sure. Yeah, it looks like I'm supposed to be. Maybe not though. Let me. Yeah, it looks like I'm there, or should be. Just a sec, ladies and gentlemen, as I sort this out. No, I don't think I am. Let's see. Let's try this again. Let's try this out. Maybe we'll get connected to more than I am currently. I do see some calls on the boards there. So let's try this out. This is maybe we'll hear you. Julie, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you at all.
Me?
I can see the red lines next to your speaker icon that you're talking, but I can't hear a thing. I can't hear a thing at all. So yeah, the phone lines are screwed up, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize for that, because that is not what I had in mind for tonight's show at all. But like I said, I'll work on it on the breaks as well. So hopefully we'll get it sorted between now and the next segment. I don't know. I'm just going to dig through things and try to figure out why I'm not hearing myself. But I should be. As far as I can tell, I should be.
Can anybody in the
There's
chat
nothing
hear
muted
me?
or anything, so we'll keep going here. There is reverb on the phone.
Okay,
Okay, I don't know what the hell that is, Titan. I got
You hear
nothing for
me?
that. Are you hearing reverb on the feeds, guys? Are you hearing reverb in YouTube or in TFR on my connection? Please let me know if you can. That would be a big help. Brent, it's your YouTube connection.
It sounds like
I hear yes. The chat can hear her. Okay, so you guys can hear her, but I can't. So I don't know what the hell's going on. But Julie, I'm going to disconnect you because I can't. I have no idea what the hell you're saying. So it doesn't do any good. Okay, no reverb. Thank you, Rio. I appreciate that. We're narrowing the list of suspects, but yeah, unfortunately, we won't be able to take calls tonight. But we got lots to go through anyway. So hopefully. Hopefully we'll have enough other stuff to deal with throughout our journey here tonight. A couple of things I wanted to do right off the bat. What? Oh yeah. Well, just wait till I talk to you about that, Julia. Don't call in until I figure out something to figure out why the hell I'm not hearing a thing. It's just really weird. It's like it's muted on my end or something. It's very strange, but it's not muted. Just everything should be working. Very strange, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't know. That's enough of this problems. Let's get to the entertainment part of the show, because that's why you're here. You're not here to hear my problems, but stop in another time. We'll go over that. But we got lots to go through. Yeah, definitely, Duke. Absolutely. We'll plug your show right away. The Duke is coming up later on tonight on TFRlive.com. He's going to have Blaine Tyler on there. Should be a great show. Hang out with the Duke in the chat room. That's always a good thing. So let's see. I gotta open some emails here, because I got some emails I wanted to go through that have been sent to me a while ago. But there's a couple of good ones here. This one is a Bigfoot report, but I'm trying to see if this is an older one or if it's a more recent one. Dear God, that's all messed up. I was going to read that, but okay. I don't know when this report came in, but somebody emailed me a report of a woman witnessing a Bigfoot swinging in the trees in the Hudson Valley in New York. And it says, the Hudson Valley's lead researcher of Bigfoot says a reported sighting has occurred this summer. I assume this might be this summer, as in currently. Looks like it came through in 2020, so we'll see. It says it happened in Hyde Park, east of the Hudson River in Dutchess County. And what it says is, the woman's name is strictly confidential, as is the precise location of the incident, Beatty said. The woman described the creature as being approximately 6'7" in height. That's pretty precise, actually, for a distant sighting. And if it's up in a tree, it's got to be hard to figure out exactly how tall it is, but this person believes it's about 6'7" in height, which if it is a Bigfoot would put it in the juvenile range, I would imagine, and reddish brown, and said it moved through the trees like a monkey, according to Beatty. The incident happened after the woman who had been weeding the garden was told to dump the weeds down a trail a couple 100 feet behind the barn. This person, Beatty, wrote in a Facebook post, "After dumping the weeds, the wheelbarrow dropped, making a loud noise," the woman said, "and suddenly, from approximately 50 feet away, she sees and hears something crashing through the thick vegetation, parting the brush towards her." According to Beatty, she sees and hears something crashing through the thick vegetation, parting the brush towards her. Beatty said the creature then jumped in the tree above her, leaving the woman in shock and disbelief as it began using its arms to swing from tree to tree, moving away from her. Beatty said that she had several reports from the Hyde Park area over the last few years, leading her to believe this is a clan that is living there. So very interesting. In the trees. Now, this is not a new thing. There's many reports of people claiming to see Bigfoot in the trees. They appear to be just about as comfortable in the trees and in the canopies above as they do on the ground below. And perhaps that's one of the ways that they move silently through what would seem like impossible brush and thickets and stuff. Maybe they just go over them. Maybe they can just get up into those branches and just, swing right through it, and so lithely and silently that people aren't aware that they've changed their position to above. Lots of reports have come in through the ages regarding juveniles, including small, what people believe are Bigfoots, including some possibly pretty compelling photographs. There's a couple of photographs out there that come to mind of somebody had captured. They claim was about apparently a 3 or 4 foot tall baby or small looking Bigfoot just wedged up in a tree. Now the pictures that I've seen look like they're shots of the rear side of these creatures. I've not seen any face on shots, but I bet there are some out there. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised at all by that. But trees and squatches, that's about as old a story as there is regarding these creatures, that they are often reported in trees. In fact, many researchers say don't just focus on the ground when you're out there, look up. A lot of people are always looking at the ground, looking for those prints, and you may be passing right under them, they could be just right there. So I think that's pretty incredible, and it makes sense. It's a potentially a primate like we are, but much more primate-ish than we are. And of course we know many primates can swing effortlessly through the canopies and trees. So given the strength and the reported physical ability of these creatures, it doesn't surprise me. But given the weight and the size of some of the adult ones, and perhaps the canopies and stuff are the playground of the younger ones. When they get bigger, maybe they don't do that as much. I have heard a report of somebody who apparently came out they were in a woodland, and they came out just from around a tree and ran right into one, landed on their back, and there above them was this huge 8 or 9 foot big foot. And apparently the thing just looked down at the person laying on the ground, and then just reached its arm up and grabbed a branch and just effortlessly just pulled itself away, like, kind of like what you'd consider an orangutan to do, when you see them just kind of reach up and just grab and pull, and the next thing you know, they're ascending into the trees. So that's a common thread in the paranormal, for sure, in regards to Bigfoot and cryptozoology. They are in the trees, allegedly, ladies and gentlemen. So don't just watch the ground. Don't just look around on the ground. These are a totally three-dimensional creature, not just on the one plane. They can be on several levels, apparently. So I think that's interesting, very cool, and thank you to Heather who sent that in to us. I think that's a great article. I love it when you guys send stuff in. If you find something interesting regarding the paranormal as you're out there browsing around and checking things out, not videos. Don't send me YouTube videos of other channels and stuff, because I can't use those. But things like this, articles that you may run across you find interesting, then please, by all means, send them over. I'd love to share them to the rest of our viewers. I think that that's phenomenal. And there's another one there's actually a few more that this person sent. And let me look at the clock here, because I know I was ranting about my technical problems for a long time. But yeah, 2 precise hour errors, TFR. Working good, and YouTube stinks. That's true, all one. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. The 100 monkey. That's interesting. The 100th monkey. I've never heard of that before, Bam, but that sounds interesting. But yeah, let's see. We got some more, another article that she pulled up, and I want to get to this. And let's see. Okay. Wait a minute. Is this the second part of another one? Yeah, it is. Hold on. I got to get the first part. It's in 2 different emails. So, all right. Here's an article, and it has to do with cattle mutilations, which we do cover a little bit here on the show. It's always an oddity to me. I've been pretty vocal about it. Why cows? Why do they mess with cows? These advanced civilizations that could be thousands or million years advanced of us. What is it about cows that they find so absolutely fascinating and feel the need to continue to tear them apart and dig them up and whatever. Gnome Squatch in the YouTube chat, and beef, it's what's for dinner. Hey, I'm with you. I mean, if it was if they were farming prime rib out of those things, I would understand totally. You can never have too much, but cowiness? What the hell's going on with cowiness? Again, I don't understand. But anyway, she found another one about some cattle mutilations going on in Colorado. And it says, hold on, Colorado's cattle mutilation history and the journalist who wouldn't let it go. And she starts off her email saying, this article adds some strangeness. The foremost being the reporter looking into these cattle cases was threatened and then actually disappeared. Wow. They also had problems photographing the carcass in the 70s with a Polaroid. The pictures just came out the same level of gray all over. No contrast to depict the cow lying on the ground. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if that would have anything to do with potential radioactivity or something. Could that affect those Polaroid cameras? Another detail from this lengthy article is that they said scavengers refused to eat from the carcasses. And let's get to the article. I think we can probably just check out the entire article rather than just those little snippets. But it's coming from Colorado Springs Indy, and it's csindy.com is where the article's coming from. No, I don't want to donate. I just want to read your article, thanks. And it's by Heidi Beadle. And she said, during the 1970s, thousands of ranchers and farmers across America woke up to discover a bizarre and horrible thing in their fields and pastures. They found that not only had one of their cows or bulls died, but that it had been bizarrely mutilated. The lifeless body would be lying on its side, completely drained of blood, and we've heard that many times in other mutilations we've covered. So there's no blood, again, accounted for. Completely drained of blood, the desiccated corpse staring up at them with empty eye sockets, the flesh cut away from the nose and jawbone, creating a macabre grin. The anal cavity was bored out. What? Let's see where was I? It was completely bored out, and the sex organs were completely removed. There were no signs of footprints or any other kind of forensic evidence to point to any kind of perpetrator, human or animal. The ranchers filed reports with the local brand inspectors, the sheriff's office, and in some cases, even federal investigators, but investigations resulted in no suspects, leads, or explanations. This exact scenario played out this summer in eastern Oregon. 5 previously healthy bulls from the Sylvie's Valley Ranch were suddenly found dead, drained of blood, and with organs and pieces of their soft tissue precisely removed. There were no footprints or signs of predation, and authorities currently have no explanation. The story was covered by national news outlets like NPR and USA Today. I got about a minute and a half, so we're probably going to have to finish this article on the other side. But the common denominator for every one of these is the lack of blood, says Chuck Zukowski, a Colorado Springs resident and deputy director of animal mutilation investigations for MUFON International, which has more than 4,000 members, as has been investigating UFO phenomena since 1969. Zukowski has 35 years of experience researching paranormal phenomena, including cattle mutilations. He's also the subject of the Travel Channel's TV show Alien Highway. Not only that, but the lack of evidence of blood. How much blood is in a cow, asks Zukowski. There's a lot of blood in a cow, and for that blood not to be there when a carcass is found is incredibly unusual. Yeah, I would say that's a safe statement. There, I mean, what do we got? 5 quarts? 5 quarts, I think, is what's in the human body. How much bigger is a cow? So you're dealing with gallons, and that should be readily apparent if that cow was cut open while it was alive. I think if it was dead, it might be a little less so, but I don't know. But this sounds like this article is going to have a lot of cool things to go over. But ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we're at the first break of our night. So let's go to the station break, pay the bills over there, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away. beside myself here. Oh, it's not my night. Nothing, Ethan, huh? Oh, well. Looks like we're on the air now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Looks like everything's back in order. At least in a manner of speaking, anyway. I still can't hear anything outside of my own voice, which is fine because, as long as I'm talking, as long as you guys can hear, that's the big thing. But it's a weird night. It's a very weird night here in the portal, and it's just par for my freaking course. I need to do some troubleshooting here after the show and figure out what the hell is going on. We're covering an article right now. Excuse me, I don't mean to crackle on you, but we're covering an article right now, ladies and gentlemen, having to do with some cattle mutilations out of Colorado, also referencing some over in Oregon, where there seems to be an investigator is being talked about here that has made a career checking this stuff out. Again, the feature traits of these cattle mutilation cows are found dead, drained of blood, no blood whatsoever in the bodies, in the carcasses. There is, of course, organs, soft tissues are removed around the face in surgical precision, leaving like a macabre grin. Eyeballs removed, the anus removed, sexual organs removed, and no telltale signs of how this is happening. No signs of a struggle, no signs that the animal is dragged down by any predators or normal routes of predation. It just appears to have fallen where it is with no blood, which is incredibly odd, incredibly weird. No idea what the hell's going on there for sure, but it's strange all the same. So this is what the article's covering, and we'll get to this. It says the kinds of cattle mutilation cases rose to national prominence in the 1970s when thousands of carcasses across 21 states were discovered to be mutilated. By 1975, the response to the problem had reached a fever pitch amongst ranchers across the Midwest. Many were carrying guns and patrolling their fields at night. Excuse me. The Bureau of Land Management ran ads in eastern Colorado newspapers urging ranchers not to shoot at survey helicopters. Prevailing theory at the time was that these killings were the work of a nefarious cult. The horrific Manson family murders were recently seared into the social memories of the U.S., so it seemed like a plausible explanation. When Satanists were hiding in the lyrics of rock and roll songs, in the pages of fantasy novels, and in American basements, in the form of tabletop game Dungeons and Dragons, certainly it had to be their work when it came to the cattle as well. In August 1975, the Colorado Springs Gazette, what the hell is going on? My microphone just dropped out too. The Colorado Springs Gazette, where the hell was I? In 1975, August, the Colorado Spring Gazette Telegraph, now the Gazette, reported on a study conducted by eastern Colorado law enforcement officials who were dealing with approximately 60 mutilation cases reported so far that year. The Gazette said the study provided a glimpse into a satanic organization with national political overtones, which has grandiose plans of bringing about a 1,000-year reign of terror and darkness. As law enforcement officials desperately searched for proof of cult involvement, the mutilations increased in number and frequency, popping up in Crowley, El Paso, Elbert, Douglas, Los Animas, Washington and Morgan counties here in Colorado, and in 20 other states across the country. The most comprehensive media coverage of the phenomena at the time came from an unlikely publication out of a small farming community just east of Fort Morgan. It was there that Dane Edwards, a recent Colorado transplant, who had allegedly spent time in Europe, in the Middle East, and Far East, filing wire service reports, acted as editor and publisher of the now defunct Brush Banner, I guess, Brush's weekly newspaper information about Edwards' life prior to Colorado is limited, but a Meet Your Editor publisher column from a July 1975 issue of the Banner boasts 17 years newspaper experience, former member of the President's Council on Youth Opportunities, and in August 1972 invited to the White House by the President. Edwards' first mutilation story ran on July 30th, 1975. Grisly black and white photographs of mutilated cattle adorn the front page of the Banner, with the headline, "Cattle Mutilations Hit Near County." He documented an incident from Woodrow where a 1,000-pound cow had its nose, one eye, and ear, and its tongue cut away. Edwards noted that while massive mutilations often occur, little blood is found in the area of the carcasses, and in some instances officials report that scavenger animals and birds refuse to touch the body. The owner of the mutilated cow, John Callis, told Edwards there wasn't a sign of a footprint in the area either. In spite of the lack of human-generated evidence, though the Washington County Sheriff's Department noted that the cow's tracks were clearly visible thanks to a recent rain. Moreover, law enforcement officials were unable to photograph the evidence. After several attempts, both Morgan County and Washington County officers were unable to take a photo of the carcasses with a Polaroid camera. The photos were consistently dark, and even when the camera settings were changed to compensate for the conditions, the pictures were without contrast, Edwards wrote. "I can't explain it," Washington County Under Sheriff Bob Jones was quoted as saying, "I'm not going to try." The following week, the Banner ran another story about the first mutilation reported in Morgan County, and Edwards was one of the few journalists at the time to critically analyze the cult hypothesis. He interviewed Lori Paul, an Episcopal priest, who claimed, in considering what is cut from the animal, the mutilations do not suggest cultism of a satanic nature. None of the items removed from the cattle are used in satanic rites. Edwards also interviewed a coven of Denver witches, who provided him with a symbol, a stylized variation of the evil eye, which was supposed to ward off the activities of satanic followers. Displaying the symbol would supposedly stop Satanists from further acts until the symbol had been removed. The Banner ran the symbol with the story, but printing the symbols in each of our 6,500 papers, Edwards wrote, they obviously cannot be removed. Edwards also was able to track down the origins of the cult story, which came from federal prisoner Kenneth Bankston. Bankston had read an article about a wave of mutilations that took place in Minnesota in 1975 and wrote to the author of the article, who forwarded Bankston's letter to an agent within the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. The agent took Bankston's claims seriously and launched an investigation. According to Edwards, Bankston claimed that the mutilations were the work of cultists' operations, and that the group was also drawn up a list of future human victims that included notable political figures such as Hubert Humphrey, who's, if you're from Minnesota, you know that name, but Hubert Humphrey was kind of a big deal in Minnesota as far as politicians goes. We didn't have a lot of them from Minnesota, but Walter Mondale, Hubert Humphrey, those were a couple of them. The Gazette reported on the bizarre satanic group, somewhat reminiscent of the Charles Manson family in 1975, quoting a field investigator. There's a right-wing white supremacist faction to the cult that has planned the assassination of a number of prominent liberal-type political figures. In return for his cooperation with the investigation, Bankston was transferred to a lower security facility from which he escaped on May 31st, 1975. There's my surprise look. No member of the Sons of Satan, the alleged name of the cult, were ever arrested. The cult theory quickly became a dead end for both law enforcement and journalists. With Satanists out of the picture, ranchers and law enforcement began looking for other explanations. The scope of the mutilations led many to believe it was the work of a vast government conspiracy, and others to look for the stars for an extraterrestrial explanation. And here's the advent of the UFO theory. By the end of August and into September, Edwards was reported on new twists in the cattle mutilation incidents, menacing aircraft and strange lights at the mutilation sites. Edwards collected reports from Elbert County, Elizabeth, Franktown, and Simla of unmarked helicopters buzzing farmers and chasing people. Several people reported having seen a flashing strobe light, wrote Edwards, traveling from east to west at an extremely fast rate of speed and changing directions with a staccato effect in the sky. Edwards allegedly began working with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, providing them with evidence gathered during the course of his investigations. After reporting that agencies such as the FBI stated there is no evidence of federal crimes, Edwards was frustrated with the response, noting that it would mean that 21 groups of mutilators have operated in 21 states. Since it's a federal offense to commit interstate crimes, that would open the door for their participation in the investigation. It wasn't until Edwards began receiving threats at the banner to lay off the investigations of cattle mutilations that Colorado Senator Floyd Haskell finally sought the FBI's assistance with the mutilations investigations. In October 1976, the Gazette reported that banner with the reporting by Edwards was the only newspaper in Colorado known to have conducted full-scale investigations into the matter of mysterious deaths and mutilations of livestock in Colorado. Edwards was interviewed in the Gazette to announce that his phenomena was actually an outcropping of the program that began in 1961, and that he would be writing a book that will tell how the project was conceived, how it progressed, and why. Edwards admitted in the interview that anger made me interested in the cattle mutilations. It disturbed me that the public would take the word of officials, that no one was willing to look into it himself. But in that same interview, he alleged that not everyone appreciated his investigations, saying, "My office has been broken into twice, things gone through, blood was thrown on my glass storm door at my home." Yeah, that's a little intimidation. Must have been something he was hitting. He must have been getting close to something at that point, because his office and his home, if there wasn't some nerves getting stepped on there. So was he onto something? I don't know. Shortly after Edwards' interview with the Gazette, he was terminated at the Brush Banner. The new publisher, Drusilla Georgeson, said it was for poor business practices. What do you think of that? I'm thinking BS. That's, no, I don't know. I mean, if it was poor business practices, why did they purchase it in the first place? Then on December 10th, 1975, the Banner headline read, "Ex-Banner publisher presumed missing." The paper reported that Edwards' wife filed a missing persons report 5 days earlier after he failed to contact her, as was his policy when he was away. The Banner also noted that while in the Banner's employ, Mr. Edwards expressed concern for his well-being on various occasions. Yeah, I mean, this is like an X-Files, ladies and gentlemen. This is like Mulder and Scully kind of territory, where you're digging into a rabbit hole. You have no idea how deep that stuff goes. And in a case like this, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the hell it is or what the hell it means, but it's strange stuff. Edwards' car was found abandoned at a truck stop, and no one in Brush ever heard from him again. There's two ways of looking at what happened with this guy, says Mufan Zukowski. He got caught into something and got threatened big time, and he went underground. I can think of one other person who it had happened to, and they went off the grid. Zukowski also mentions the case of Max Spears, a UK conspiracy theorist, and UFO investigator who died in Warsaw, Poland, under mysterious circumstances, allegedly vomiting black goo. Well, I'll bet you that's got to be some of the foundation for the black goo on the X-Files, right? these are issues. These are issues with doing different types of UFO investigations that could cause you to step over the proverbial line, so to speak, warns Zukowski. You have to be careful what you do when you do UFO investigations, and you go too far, you will get silenced. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. This is obviously a huge article. There's still tons more to go through, but I think for the sake of the show, we got the most of it. And again, this is from csindy.com, Colorado Springs, Colorado, cattle mutilation history, and the journalist who wouldn't let it go. So if you want to read more about that, ladies and gentlemen, you can find it on csindy.com, CS and then the word indy.com, all one word. So I think it's really interesting. I don't know what he could have stumbled onto that would have risked his well-being. Obviously, if it's cultists, that can be real powerful groups. Unfortunately, there is a lot of people that believe that these dark cultist organizations are very much in bed with power and are very much embedded into powerful positions in our government and in our society. So if you started uncovering too much information, I can see where that could be a liability to your well-being. I don't pretend to know anything about that kind of stuff. I really don't, and I guess I don't on purpose, because there's the old saying, you can't unsee things, you can't unhear things. And while there's no question there's dark and nefarious things going on in this world, I don't need to be educated on all of them to a great degree. I just need to know they're going on and need to know to avoid that kind of stuff in my life. And I don't know, maybe that's a cop-out in some way, but I don't know. I don't think I'm going to fix the world, so I'm just going to do my part in it as much as I can. But interesting article. Thank you again for that. I appreciate it, Heather. That's wonderful. It's great to hear from you, and thank you for all your support and sending out all these great articles. They're a lot of fun. They are a lot of fun to get into. I am very interested in this cattle mutilation thing, but again, when do you know too much? When do you stumble onto something that becomes that liability, just like that reporter? And I'm obviously assuming, but if he did really disappear, if he did just all of a sudden he's gone, even his own wife doesn't know what happened to him, then that's scary stuff. That is really scary stuff. That's some Hollywood crap there, So I think that stuff is really wicked. But that's the nature of the beast, I guess. You start digging, you never know how deep it goes. So let's see, what do I got next? I got a lot of stuff next, actually. I had a submission by another listener on our Facebook page, and it was really pretty incredible, and I've reached out to him because I think it might be great to have him on the podcast as well, but so that's why I'm kind of waiting to hear back, because otherwise I'll share it here on the show, but I haven't heard back from him yet, so maybe we'll go over it tomorrow night if I haven't heard back from him by then, because if he's not responding, there must be a reason. Maybe he doesn't want to be on the podcast, just wants to share his experiences, and that's fine too. In fact, if any of you out there have experiences to share and you don't necessarily want to be interviewed or be talking to me in person, you just want to share your experiences, you can do that via email at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And that's great, and I love to hear from you guys, so feel free to reach out whenever you want. I'm always got my ears on, but yeah, there was apparently this Heather had also reached out to me about an Art Bell channel. It was not an Art Bell channel, but it was a channel on YouTube that was airing Art Bell like 24 hours a day. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. But then she wrote back and said, no, I guess it got taken down. It was all copyright strike. So somebody was just launched a channel to play Art Bell, and they got their channel struck, which obviously if you don't have permission, you just can't do that kind of stuff. That's not fair. It's certainly not fair to the estate of Art Bell either, to be airing his stuff, and you're getting some kind of market leverage from that. But that's cool stuff. Art Bell is always going to be the godfather of what we do here on the show. I mean, he cut the path that all of us shows are walking on. If it weren't for Art Bell, I'll bet you we still wouldn't be here doing this. So anyway, I love the old Art Bell shows. I didn't listen to too much of George Norrie, and it's not because I have anything against George Norrie. It's just he wasn't Art Bell. I mean, Art Bell was his own deal. He was the Godfather. He was the one that cut the path, you know. So you got to respect that. But anyway, we got more stuff to get through here. Let me look at the clock and see where we're at. We're at about 6 minutes out from. I have the channel bookmarked. What are you talking about? No cop out. Good thinking. I'm just looking at the comments here. It was Kev Baker. Oh, there you go. Looking at the YouTube comments, or the TFR comments. And thank you to all of you who are with me tonight. I appreciate it, whether you're in TFR live or if you're over here on YouTube with us as well. You can see it streaming live on YouTube if you choose, but both places, love you guys, and thank you so much for being a part of the night and part of the journey. Again, I apologize for all of the technical issues. It's just it's really a pain in the tail. I don't know, you know. That's the one problem with being, you know, producer, host, and, you know, wearing all the hats, is that there's no one to, you know, throw me a lifeline when things go sideways. It's like, oh God, and I'm all on my own trying to dig out of it. I mean, it's better when Don's here, because he can help with the heavy lifting then, but he's not here tonight. But we will, given the sound problems that we're having tonight, I'm not going to do the giveaways tonight, just for the record. We'll get those going tomorrow night, and it'll be cool because Don would like to be a part of that anyway. So we'll dig into those tomorrow nights. We're going to do a few giveaways. I got a few things planned for when we do it. I was going to do it tonight again, but given the fact that I can't hear anything on the phone lines, I guess we won't count on that. But we will get into that tomorrow night. So definitely tune in tomorrow when Don rejoins me here on the portal, and we dig into that stuff. We're going to get into some articles here from unexplainedmysteries.com. The first one is a real quick one, and I'm going to pull it over to the screen so those of you on YouTube can see it. I'll put a link in the Facebook group, or in the TFR group rather, so that you guys on TFR can see it as well. But it's a really interesting kind of fish, and it sounds way out there with the first blush, just reading the article. But when you get to the comments, it sounds like it's a pretty common type of creature, but just very regional. But there's only one other fish that I've seen teeth like this on, and it's really crazy. But I'm going to put this article in there, and I'm going to go through it on the YouTube channel. So it's been posted in TFR, and I'm going to be going through it now. I should be able to get through this in about 4 minutes, which is about how much time we have before break. But it's a viral image shows fish with human-like teeth. That's a face only a mother could love right there. A photograph of a very strange-looking fish with lips and teeth like those of a human has gone viral online. The peculiar specimen, which is posted up on Twitter earlier this month by user Raf Nasir, is nothing if not bizarre. A multicolored fish with a full set of lips and 2 rows of human-like chompers. Her lips are hotter than mine, Nasir joked. The photograph quickly generated a great deal of speculation, with some users claiming that it had been digitally altered, and others maintaining that it was likely to be a real fish. Many agree that most likely candidate was the Picasso triggerfish. Upon seeing seeing the red line that runs straight from its snout to its pectoral fins and the black patch on its belly, kind of guessed that it was a black-belly triggerfish, said marine biologist Lufti Afik Rossley. Not everything, however, is quite as it should be. The teeth photo seems doctored to me, says Rossley. Most triggerfish do not have teeth like that. Usually they have a set of 2 canine teeth on the top and another set on the bottom. Those help catch their prey, which is usually shellfish on the reef floor. But if you look at that is quite a mug. That does look like a fish. The profile shot definitely looks like a fish that I've seen. But that really is a freaky mouth. God bless it. Wow. There you have it. You'd almost expect it to start cussing you out, like, get me back in the water, what are you doing? They could start cursing at you like an old sailor. That's weird. Now, I will say I did have an experience back on Minnesota on the shore of the river, Mississippi River. I found a lower jawbone of a small, I don't know what the hell it was. It looked like a little human jawbone, but more like a fish size. But it did have teeth like that. It really did. It was just the lower jawbone. I never did find the top. And I wanted to keep it, but I thought, if I keep this, is it going to get thrown away? Is it just one of those things I'm going to set aside and forget about? And so I put it in the crook of a tree, and then the next day I went out there to get it. I'm like, no, I'm going to keep it. But I went out in the crook of the tree, the crotch of a fork of the tree, and it was gone. So I don't know where it went, what happened to it, but I don't know of any fish in the Mississippi that should have teeth like that. So it was very strange. Still wonder about it today. But I did actually find that lower jawbone, and it does look that like it could have come from a fish like this. But this is obviously a saltwater fish, and the Mississippi is quite fresh. Well, kind of fresh. It's kind of fresh water. It's kind of muddy mess, though, too. But it is interesting. I think, it's possible there's other fish out there that maybe nobody's ever caught. Who knows? It's hard to say, but I think those anomalies are out there. Come on, Brent, it looks like the stuff they carry in the nutbag newspaper they used to sell at the checkout line. We call those the hot sheets, all one. Just like on Men in Black, those are the hot sheets, so don't knock those pages. No, I think it's like Bigfoot had my baby. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, there's weird stuff out there, but if you look into the paranormal, it's not a big stretch, really. But, ladies and gentlemen, the hour break is coming up, so we're going to go to that right now. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away for more of the Paranormal Portal in just a couple minutes. We'll be right back.
Play their games. Everybody
everybody. Welcome back. Hour number 2 is upon us here on the Paranormal Portal. I hope you're having a fine time on this strange journey we're on. Again, the phone lines are not live tonight. I don't know what the hell's going on. I can't hear anything. I can't even hear the music or anything going out to the network, even from my own computer. Like the break music on YouTube, I'm not hearing it. Normally I can hear all that, and the TFR feed. I can't hear anything, and it's not anybody's problem but my own. It's right here on my computer. Something is sideways. I don't know what the hell it is. So, unfortunately, we can't do the giveaways tonight as I had planned, but we will do those tomorrow. I'm sure between now and tomorrow I'll be able to figure out what the hell went sideways here. And I guarantee it's going to be something stupid. Like, oh, really? God, I forgot that. Okay. I don't know what it is. I'm racking my brain. I don't know why. It's just the way it works. Whatever can go wrong may very well be what goes wrong. So, anyway, this is hour number 2 on the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you so much for being here with me. I've got more of this paranormal mayhem right here waiting for you on our Friday night Fright Fest. I could have put the word fest on the promo again, too. I just called it Friday Night Frights, but I thought that was cool. Play on the Friday Night Fights from way back in the day. I try to be creative in my Paranormal Portal journey, but I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. Got some more paranormal weirdness and I don't know, just more weirdness here. A couple more articles. This one is also from unexplained-mysteries.com, and it has to do with another one of those brain chip things. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, ladies and gentlemen, but I personally don't want somebody drilling holes in my head and mounting hardware there. 2 reasons. One, I would be probably for it if it was restoring a sense that I had lost. My natural sense had been lost somehow. Then okay, do what you got to do. If you wanna, if there's some way you can technologically restore somebody's sight or somebody's hearing that's lost their hearing, then fantastic. I think those are fantastic ideas. But for me, the thing that always considers. Oh, thank you, Titan, and also thank you to Paradox. Was it Paradox? Yeah, Paradox Fossils. Both of you guys giving us the super chats here tonight. Thank you guys so much. Titan says, Brent, hope that makes your day better. You made ours. Much love, brother. Love you too, man. Thank you, and I really, really appreciate that. And just some emojis from Paradox and a nice donation. Thank you guys. That really helps a bunch. Goes a long way into keeping the portal rolling, so we really appreciate it. But the reason that I wouldn't want somebody mounting hardware in my head, if I have my full faculties as I do, well, at least as much faculties as I have. The reason I wouldn't like that much is because think about your desktop computer, and it's good for a year or 2, maybe 3, 4, but you get about 5 years into it, and it's just not good anymore. It's slow, it's buggy, it's flaky, hardware fails, etc., etc. Our technology is fantastic, but it seems to me our technology is very temporary. And what will take up your whole desk today will be a smartphone tomorrow. Like a super gaming desktop computer today will be on your smartphone tomorrow. And so you're gonna you'd be constantly upgrading your body in order to stay current, which may be cool, but it may also lead to problems. Anytime you create holes in the human body, you're rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice to nasty infections, to other kind of complications or diseases, blood clots, etc., etc., etc. So I don't think it should ever be, hey, I want to have super sight, so I'm going to get that hole drilled in my forehead and that artificial eye mounted, because anytime you do that, that may be the last thing you do. We can't ever look at surgical, operations as just an act of vanity. It shouldn't be. It should be an act of necessity. And I think that people kind of lose that. And you see that a lot in cosmetic surgeries. People are always going through these cosmetic surgeries and, to better themselves or to reclaim something that they once were, and that's fine. I mean, to each his own. I'm not begrudging anybody that choice, but every time you do that, that's a risk. There's a risk involved. And you have to be careful about making those choices, because they can have have long-term consequences. One blood clot can put you into a stroke, and you got to be careful. So I think that some of these proposed technologies to me are frightening in the fact that they take a lot for granted. That no, there'll be no problems, and you can have this enhanced ability or something. So this one, and I'll pull this over and put it on screen too, is not a lot of imagery. There's just some stock photo kind of imagery stuff on this one. So I'm not going to share the link over to TFR, but it's again coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, and the article is called Neuralink Chip Offering Superhuman Hearing. So Elon Musk's potentially revolutionary brain-computer interface chip is nothing if not ambitious. Well, it's ambitious, sure. And I like Elon Musk. I like technology, don't get me wrong. I'm not like I hate technology, it's wrong kind of person. I think it's fine as long as it's used responsibly. It says, designed to enable man and machine to work together, Neuralink has been described by Musk as an answer to the essential threat of an artificial intelligence surpassing our own capabilities. In recent months, the SpaceX CEO has teased a whole host of features and capabilities for the chip, ranging from making it possible to stream music inside your head to helping people deal with anxiety and mood disorders. More recently, he also revealed that the chip will offer the opportunity to experience superhuman hearing by extending the range of hearing beyond normal frequencies and amplitudes. That could be, I gotta admit, that'd be kind of cool, because you could hear like a dog. You could hear when someone's walking down your block long before they're at your house. You ever watch a dog, how sensitive they are? They'll pick up sounds that they're nowhere near our range of hearing. They're so far underneath or over our hearing, we can't hear them. We can't hear dog whistles. To them, it's just this annoying squeal. But to us, it's just, it doesn't register on our hearing. And so the other thing that you have to consider, and this being a paranormal show, is, would it allow you to hear EVPs? Think about that. Because we presume, and like spectrographs would suggest that the EVPs are happening on a wavelength that we can't hear, but they can be visually observed on a spectrograph of the wave file, of the wavelength of the sound. So if you had something like this, would you be able to hear spirits? And would that drive you freaking nuts? If you could all of a sudden hear any spirit that was in your area, and it could be some nut job, whacking his head on a wall because he's just gone wacky and crazy, and that's why he doesn't transition. So all of a sudden you got someone screaming in your head all night because they're in this state of pain and confusion. So I realize that's a stretch, probably a huge stretch, but imagine if that were the case. I believe in EVPs. We've captured EVPs in Coloma. When you go watch the Spirits of Coloma episode we did just recently, we had captured a Class A EVP. MCAT caught it on his recorder, and Don caught it on his camera. 2 recording mediums picked up this EVP that didn't exist. Very, very cool. So there's something to that. But anyway, let's continue the article. It says, more recently, he has revealed that the chip will offer the opportunity to experience superhuman hearing, extending the range of hearing beyond normal frequencies and amplitudes. Despite these claims, however, very little is actually known about Neuralink chip other than that it will somehow be sewn into the brain to enable full bandwidth data streaming. It just sounds wrong. It just sounds wrong. It just sounds like the idea that somebody could override you. Hey, that guy's being, he's having illegal thoughts. Let's put him in a vegetative state for a while. That's the kind of stuff I think of when I hear this. It's like creepy control. It just suggests a creepy level of control. So, Musk has often expressed concern that within as little as 5 years, artificial intelligence will start to exceed our own capabilities and pose an existential threat to the future of the human race. Neuralink, he argues, could give us a fighting chance by leveling the playing field a bit. Fortunately, we may not have to wait long to learn more. There will be an event on August 28th during which he will hopefully reveal a lot more about technology what it will do and how it will work. Until then, all we can do is speculate. So on August 28th, ladies and gentlemen, pay attention, because that may be the time when Elon Musk unveils the Neuralink and what that means. To me, that's pretty wild. Again, I have a lot of reservations about that kind of augmentation. I think that it's idealistic. I don't think they have any concept of the amount of problems that could arise as a result of introducing even a computer into your brain. It may even work on low voltages or whatever, but how does that affect the existing neurological activity in the brain? It is these micro impulses that are synaptically sent throughout our the network of our brain. You introduce something else that's not meant to be there, and I can only assume there's going to be problems with that. I don't know. I don't think we're at that level yet to be starting to plug people into stuff. And then, again, all of the potential side effects that could go along with that, I think, is quite scary. That's a pretty sobering concept to me, and I would, at least to me, I won't be lining up for any Neuralink for the foreseeable future. Again, unless I had some sort of degenerative disease where I lost my faculties or lost some abilities, sure, then it becomes an option, because you're trying to reclaim something of your life. And sure, there are options that are low-tech options, like, say, for instance, losing your sight. You can learn Braille. There are ways to work around it, and many people have lived entire lifetimes without sight and had wonderful, amazing lives, but I haven't. I've lived a life with sight, so what would it be to lose that? It would be horrendous for me personally. I'm a very visual person, very creative, very hands-on, building and doing things, creating things. It's just part of who I am. So hi, thanks for stopping. Yeah, okay, more you now. Let's have more you now, Mr. Anubis. But yeah, I think it's pretty ambitious. I don't think we're there yet technologically, but maybe Elon Musk knows a hell of a lot more than I do. Well, it's certain that Elon Musk knows a hell of a lot more than I do, but I don't know. I still those kind of things do concern me, because at what point, do we separate what we should do and what we can do? Those to me are two very different things, and they get lost in the fray. But that's the Neuralink proposal. Elon Musk is supposedly coming out on the 28th to explain more about that, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I don't know where his announcement's going to come from, but Cha-Cha says she knows more than Muskie. Muskie. Oh, you guys are real familiar then. She calls him Muskie. That's her pet name. Yeah, I don't know. He's got to be an intelligent guy, obviously. Didn't he create PayPal and then went on to do all this SpaceX and all this other stuff? And of course the Tesla company. That's possible. But anyway, let's see where we're at with the time. We have 11 minutes, so we got time for this next article. And this one's interesting, and here's the deal. Let me read the article, and then I'll get into why I decided to read this on the show, because I think that this could explain possibility of extraterrestrial life. But let me get to it. This again comes from unexplainedmysteries.com, and this is Dwarf Planet Ceres turns out to be an ocean world. Scientists have determined that Ceres, like Europe and Enceladus, is home to an ocean of liquid water. Oh, Europa, not Europe. I was like, Europe's an ocean? Wait a minute, that's not how I understood it. Europa, ladies and gentlemen. Situated in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Ceres is a relatively small world, measuring a mere 580 miles in diameter, and is the only asteroid belt object rounded by its own gravity. It was visited back in March 2015 by NASA's Dawn spacecraft, which discovered, among other things, the presence of organic molecules, the building blocks for which all life is based. Now, 5 years on, it turns out that Ceres is an even more promising candidate for life than previously believed, thanks to the discovery that it is also home to a subterranean ocean or salty water. The place is in amongst the most promising places to look for evidence of extraterrestrial life in all our solar system, alongside Saturn's moon Enceladus, and Jupiter's moon Europa. The discovery was made by researchers from the United States and Europe who analyzed high-resolution images of the surface of Ceres to determine that there was in fact an extensive reservoir of brine beneath the surface of the 20-million-year-old Occator crater, OCCATOR, Occator crater. Other separate studies also discovered the presence of hydrohalite, a compound found in the sea ice that until now had never been found anywhere beyond the Earth. The cat is just scolding me. I guess he's hungry. We can now say that Ceres is a sort of ocean world, as are some of Saturn's and Jupiter's moons, said Marla Cristina de Sanctis of Rome's Instituto Nazionale di Astrofisica. I don't know. I'm butchering the hell out of that, but the material found on Ceres is extremely important in terms of astrobiology, and we know that these minerals are all essential for the emergence of life. Now, why did I find that interesting enough to share on the show? Because it occurs to me, we oftentimes think we're visited by extraterrestrial life, and in the form of these UFOs that are seen, that I've witnessed myself. And that in and of itself is a compelling thing, but where are UFOs often witnessed on our planet? Well, they're often witnessed in the oceans. Think of the Tic Tac craft, and think of the USOs, the unidentified submersible objects or submerged objects. A lot of these UFOs are seen coming out of bodies of water. Well, why is that? Is it just because it's a great hiding place, or could it be more similar to the life conditions of where they're from? So if in our own solar system there are these bodies, these planetary bodies that are actually large oceans, could those be some of the origin points for some of the beings visiting us? And are they visiting us and taking up residence in our own ocean because it's just like home? I mean, think about it. I realize that may sound bizarre, but it just occurred to me today. It's like all of the sightings of UFOs, so many of them have to do with ocean sightings, oceans and far out to sea, seeing craft coming out of and going into the oceans, into ponds, into bodies of water. It's so common. It's reported all of the time. And it may not just be an evasion thing. It might just be because that's it's like home. Maybe that's what it's like where they're from. So they return to the oceans because they live in oceans. They were evolved in oceans. I don't know. Just some strange thoughts, but it just occurred to me tonight. So, do with it what you will. But I don't know. It seems to make sense to me that there's a reason they pick oceans here to hide out in and possibly have submerged bases. And maybe it's because it's like where they're from. Could it be possible? I guess it's just as possible as anything else, but it's an interesting concept, and I like it personally. I like it. I don't know what you guys. Bummer, you miss Anubis. Yeah, Anubis was just here. He was just yelling at me. Apparently, he needs food. He's always really gentle about his approach. He's like, more me now, more me now. But it's the joy of having a cat. They're not subtle creatures when they want something, usually. They're pretty much in your face. He always gets in my face and just yells at me. He's like, meow. I love my kitty. Alright, I can close this. But, I don't know, just some thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. I like that. We also have a quick article here about some strange things that are found on our own ocean floor. Down in the way deep depths of our oceans. But let's get to this one quick. Just before the last break, and this is alien-like life form discovered on the seafloor, and it's on the screen. I'm gonna actually copy this one over to the TFR chat because this one actually does have some imaging right at the lead-in of the article, and I think it's interesting. It does show a picture of the new creature that was discovered. Scientists have photographed a very peculiar life form in a region referred to as the Forests of the Weird. Resembling an alien-like head attached to a long stalk, this bizarre ET sponge was discovered by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, 2.4 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean. It was one of many such life forms found approximately 1,300 kilometers southwest of Hawaii. Rising high on a stalk, the sponge had a body with two large holes, oddly reminiscent of the large eyes of an alien that belonged of the beloved movie E.T., the Extraterrestrial. The NOAA wrote, while the name E.T. sponge seems to have stuck, its official name is that word right there, which I'm not even going to try to brutalize live on the air. But we usually try to associate the name to something unique about the species. We can honor someone, the expedition name, or a locality, said scientist Cristiana Costello Branco. The shape of the sponge is reminiscent of an alien, like in the movies, with what looks like a long, thin neck, an elongated head, and huge eyes. Advena is from the Latin advena, which means alien. While we haven't officially given it a common name in our paper, E.T. sponge seems to fit. And there's the E.T. sponge right there on the top, right under the title. It is bizarre, but again, I can't imagine. It probably doesn't see any light down there that far underwater, and I mean, all the life down there just looks really alien to us up here, with things like bioluminescence and more. So, what was that movie, The Abyss, where those people were able to like put on that special breathing, where it was breathing liquid, and they could go really, really deep and get down there, and all these luminescent beings were down there, and like this, I don't know, alien race was living down there. I wouldn't be at all surprised if someday somebody stumbled on something like that. I was watching something online talking about the pressures, the amount of pressure that's on even a steel ball at the bottom of the Laurentian abyss will compress. It would be probably unnoticeable with the naked eye, but it would be measurably compressed. A solid steel ball would be measurably compressed by the sheer pressure of all of that water at that depth. And so, you got to think, wow, that anything can survive down there is just amazing. But then again, life is amazing because there's bacteria that have been found in volcanic vents underwater in the oceans. Bacteria that can survive that heat. And that concept is absolutely foreign to us, that anything biological could survive. But it does show you the adaptability of life and how, kind of like Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park said, life will find a way. And sure enough, it does. And so, I guess you get things like alien sponges and stuff underwater, for whatever that's worth. But strangeness. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you as we head towards this last break of the night to stick around. I see there's a call, but please, you can't call me tonight. I think that might be Naysay. Naysay, brother, I don't have any audio. I can't hear anything. So everybody else could hear you. TFR could hear you. YouTube could hear you. But I can't hear anybody. I can't hear anything. So, except my own voice. So I'm sorry I won't be able to answer your call. But stick around because Paisley Wild will be coming up next with The Spaces Between, ladies and gentlemen. And after that comes our very own Duke Sullivan, World Bigfoot Radio. And he's got Blaine Tyler on his show tonight. If you head into the chat room on tfrlive.com/chat, you can hang out with the Duke. And you can get a lot of background information, things that don't make the shows themselves, but he likes to plug in extra information and pictures of the things covered on the show. And it's just a great time to hang out with the Duke in there. So give it a shot. That'll be coming up later on tonight on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. But head over to tfrlive.com/chat, and you can do just that. So we're going to go to the last break. Don't go away. I will be back on the other side for the last half hour of the portal. So stick with me. Don't give up on me, baby. All right. I'll be right back. We'll see you soon. Oops. thank you so much for being here with me. In light of all the problems that we have, you guys are the greatest. It's your love that keeps me coming back, not banging my head repeatedly on the desk. It doesn't happen often. Usually things go by without a hitch. It's just wonderful. Everything is usually really dialed in, but then something just happens and everything just goes sideways. And it seems that there's some updates that happened, is what it is. And so I'm going to have to chase this down after the show. I'm just glad we were able to get connected enough to bring you guys a show. This, of course, is really and truly one of the highlights of my life every day that I do the shows. It's just awesome to be here and be a part of your days. I just recently posted on Facebook a picture that was sent in. And it was from a listener, and there was a picture of them, just laying in bed. It was nothing risque, but it was a husband and wife that were in bed. And you couldn't see them, but you could see their feet and the dog at the end of the bed. And then this big screen TV, and on the big screen TV, it was Don and I doing an episode. And they said we're all snuggled in bed watching The Portal, and it was just such an honor to see that because I don't know. I grew up in the era of Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson was a part of everyone's night. I mean, he was like the last thing most everybody did was lay in bed and watch Carson as they fell asleep. And it's just kind of cool. It's kind of cool and really humbling to be what someone wants to watch. I mean, that to me is just, I don't know if that makes sense or if it's just me being an idiot, but honest to God, it was about one of the most heartwarming things ever. It's like, oh man, that's really cool. So again, thank you for sending that in, and thanks for making us a part of all of your guys' days. I mean, that to me is just amazing. And if you got pictures of you lounging around watching The Portal on your screen or whatever, send them in. I love those pictures. They're just so heartwarming to me. I'd love to see more of them. So send them into paranormalportalradio@gmail.com or post them to the facebook.com/paranormalportalradio. Send them to me in a message on Brent Thomas on Facebook. However you want to do it, but I am just honored, and thank you. That's just really cool. Yeah, send pics of your Portal swag too. Exactly, Julia. Very true. Without a shirt. Yeah. Well, you can farm, but just got to be ready for the repercussions. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be inappropriate. Of course, that's not the way I work anyway. But yeah, please be clothed. I don't want anybody any trouble starting. But yeah, it was just neat. It was just out of the blue. Someone sent that in, and I've gotten one of those before. I got one from a gentleman over in Australia, and he was kicked back, in his living room, and the Portal was on the big screen. It's like, wow, that's really cool. I should have posted that one back then too, but I didn't. But anyway, I digress. Let's see, what else do I got here pulled up? I got several things that I've been working through as we're going through the night, but there's an article here. I think I'll save this. Maybe go over this tomorrow night during the giveaway night. We just made a new connection on Facebook, and the gentleman that reached out to me and sent a friend request, oddly enough, turned out to be one of my favorite paranormal reporters and journalists. Paranormal journalist, there's a lot of people out there writing paranormal articles and writing things about the paranormal, and some people do a passable job, some people do less of a passable job, and then there's a few people that really are bringing like seriously grade A journalism to the paranormal. Their articles are so well written, the material is just incredible. It's really cohesive and just professional. And this gentleman was one of them, and his name is Brent Swancer, and he writes for Mysterious Universe and Lon Strickler's page. And I've loved his work forever. We've bumped into his articles ever since I started doing the Paranormal Portal. And I mean, I remember reading his first article that I ever stumbled across, and I was like, who is this guy? I love his work. And then we would find other articles and it was like, oh, it's Brent Swancer for sure. Every time we ever found a Brent Swancer article, it was just like, this is the greatest. His material is fantastic. and he had an article on his Facebook page, and I talked to him today. I was like, hey, he's a wonderful guy. He's just a really, really cool guy. We've messaged back and forth on Facebook, and it's really cool. But I said, do you mind, or do you have any apprehensions of me covering your stuff on the show? Because I love your articles, and I'd love to represent your work online, if that's okay. He wrote back, yeah, just, please, just at least give an acknowledgement, which, yeah, of course. I think that's important because, these people are out there doing the work and taking the time to write these articles. And he said that, unfortunately he runs across shows doing his articles and essentially just kind of ripping them off, not giving him credit or anything, just taking the material and running with it. And that's got to be frustrating. So we'll definitely give him his nods. But this one I wanted to cover, and this also has to do with the UFO phenomena. And this is from mysteriousuniverse.org, and again, written by our good friend Brent Swanser. And it has to do with the mysterious Indian manuscript of ancient flying machines. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a long time since I've read about these, but I think they're called Vimanas. And they were these pyramid-looking craft. There was apparently a battle in the skies, and perhaps even included a nuclear blast. There's apparently evidence for over in India as well of there being an ancient nuclear blast that had happened. So it seems to lend credibility to the fact that there might have been some kind of extraterrestrial or other beings doing battle right above these people, these ancient people of India. So let's read this article. Hold on a second. It says, throughout history there have been various mysterious texts, scrolls, and manuscripts claiming to have secret or even forbidden knowledge that lies beyond our ability to comprehend it. These manuscripts come creeping up upon us through the mists of time, wreathed in mysteries that we may never understand, and they have served to propel the imagination since time unremembered. One such text must surely be an ancient Indian manuscript, which purportedly holds the secrets to amazing, fantastical flying machines well before their time, and the veracity of which has been debated right up into the present. In 1952, G.R. Joycer, founder of the International Academy of Sanskrit Research, came forward to unveil a previously unknown text at an event exhibition of rare Sanskrit manuscripts. The text was called the Vimanika Sastra, meaning the science of aeronautics, supposedly dictated between the years of 1918 to 1923 to a Sharma by the mystic Pandit Subbaraya Shastri. Yeah, I'm butchering that too. Who said the information had come to him in flashes and dreams, and considered himself the earthly conduit to the information from the real author, the ancient sage Maharishi Bharadwaja, itself claiming to be thousands of years old and put out there freely for the benefit of all mankind. The mysterious text itself was devoted to the Vimanas, which were the fantastical flying chariots, thrones, carts, palaces, and other vehicles of the gods mentioned in ancient Sanskrit epics, by which, according to this manuscript, were actually advanced flying machines, far predating any known airplanes. A news publication would say of the unveiling of this mysterious manuscript, Mr. G.R. Joycer, director of the International Academy of Sanskrit Research in Mysore, or Mysore, however you pronounce that, in the course of an interview recently showed some very ancient manuscripts which the Academy had collected. He claimed that the manuscripts were several thousands of years old, compiled by ancient Rashis, Bharadwaja, Narada, and others, dealing with not only with mysticism of ancient Hindu philosophy, or Atman or Brahman, but with more mundane things vital for the existence of man and progress of nations, both in times of peace and war. One manuscript dealt with the aeronautics construction of various types of aircraft for civil aviation and for warfare. Mr. Josier showed some types of designs and drawings of a helicopter-type cargo loading plane, specially meant for carrying combustibles and ammunition, passenger aircraft carrying 400 to 500 people, double and treble decked aircraft. Each of these types had been fully described. The textiles itself was sort of a treatise on ancient Indian flying machines, giving exhaustive descriptions, diagrams, and illustrations of aerodynamics, propulsive devices, materials, and metallurgy, as well as the definition of an airplane, what a pilot is and their duties, aerial routes, food, clothing, metals, metal production, mirrors, and their uses in wars, variety of machinery, and others. The text goes into great depth on a variety of different flying machines. For instance, there is the Shakuna Vimana, which is shaped like a bird, measures 80 by 56 feet in dimension, and is crafted from a super light advanced alloy called Raja Loha. And there is a Sundara Vimana, a giant cylindrical cone that utilizes steam and vaporized oil for energy production and is equipped with 5 gas engines, electric tube wheels, and lifting fans. Rukma Vimana is a massive 5-tiered construct that has 100 to 1,000 foot base dimension and 20 feet height and an 80-foot cone height, and operates on solar power. Another is the Tripura Vimana, which can move in air, on land, or through water, and which is fashioned of a fire-resistant alloy. Every single one of these outlandish contraptions is explained in great technical detail, with elaborate illustrations of their inner workings and designs, meticulous recipes for their fuels and alloys, and it all really boggles the mind that any of this could come from thousands of years ago, as claimed. Yet the Vimana Sastra became very popular immediately upon release, being translated into Hindi in 1959 and then English in 1973. Of course, considering that this information and the bizarre designs were claimed to be thousands of years old, its public reveal immediately drove attention to ufologists and ancient astronaut theorists who studied the Vimanika Sastra and with great interest and fascination. However, the work has also drawn its share of criticism. One of the main problems with all of this is that, although the information is claimed to be from mystic alien sources and a great sage, it is more or less released in modern times by the self-professed medium Pandit Saburaya Shastri, who then left it to his son, Sri Venkramaya Shastri, after which it found its way into the collection of Josier. However, Shastri has been claimed to have been a humble, honest man who never intended for his work to get out into the public eye, and he never took personal credit for any of it. It doesn't seem as if it was an intentional hoax perpetrated by Shastri, even though it might have been by his son. However, this is probably the least of the worries for the veracity of this text has. And there's some images apparently from these texts that are included here, and it is pretty crazy. There's more, though. It says even more damning are the findings made by scientists who actually went and checked out the viability of the designs contained in the text. For instance, researchers from the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore checked it out in 1974 and did not take them very long at all to come to the conclusion that, in reality, most of the divines of the Vimanika Sutra simply would never be able to practically lift or fly. The team found that not only are the aeronautics and geometries of the craft all wrong, but that the proposed methods of propulsion are also not viable. They even went as far as to say that the designs offended the laws of physics, that the author of the manuscript had a poor understanding of aeronautics, and stated, if the craft is taken to mean that the drawing and the text say, it can be stated that the craft is a decided impossibility. The study would not mince words at all when it says, any reader by now would have concluded the obvious, that the planes described above are at best the poor concoctions rather than expressions of something real. None of the planes had properties or capabilities of being flown. The geometries are unimaginably horrendous from the point of view of flying, and the principles of propulsion make them resist rather than assist flying. The text and the drawings do not correlate with each other even thematically. The drawings definitely point to a knowledge of modern machinery, and this can be explained on the basis of the fact that Sri Alipa, who made the drawings, was in a local engineering college and thus was familiar with the names and details of some of the machinery. Of course, the text retains a structure and language and content from which its recent nature cannot be asserted. We must hasten to point out that this does not imply an oriental nature of the text at all. All that may be said is that thematically the drawings ought to be ruled out of the discussion, and the text as it stands is incomplete and ambiguous by itself and incorrect at many places. Ouch. There was also the researcher J.B. Hare of the Internet's Sacred Text Archives, who is blunt and harsh when he says of the origin of the manuscript and its contents, "You just have to buy into the assumption that channeling works. There is no exposition of the theory of aviation, let alone anti-gravity in plain terms. The VS never directly explains how Vimanas get up in the air. The text is top-heavy with its long lists of often bizarre ingredients used to construct various subsystems, and there is nothing here which Jules Verne couldn't have dreamed up in. No mention of exotic elements or advanced construction techniques. The 1923 technical illustration based on the text are absurdly unaerodynamic. They look like brutalist wedding cakes." Brutalist wedding cakes. "With minarets, huge ornithopter wings, and dinky propellers. In other words, they look like typical early 20th century fantasy flying machines with an Indian twist." The proponents for the veracity of the text will point out that the Vimana Sastra is incomplete and that these missing parts might fill in all the blanks, as well as that there would be highly advanced machines beyond our understanding. We are left with the supposed ancient text given to us by a seer and medium unleashed upon the world to try to explain these things, these mysterious machines of the gods, by coming up lacking by modern scientific standards. Whatever one makes of them, they add to the rich history of texts purporting to have secret ancient knowledge, which will always have a particular allure and effect on the imagination, whether they are real or not. Is it any wonder I love the way this guy writes? It's just brilliant. It's just really well done. Point, counterpoints, the inclusion of obscure, parts of the texts, the sketches, the blueprints, so to speak, along with differing points of view. I think that's a good, robust discussion. I love it. I really do. He does a hell of a job, and all of his articles are written that way, ladies and gentlemen. So if you get a chance, check out the group Dark League Paranormal on Facebook. It's Dark League Paranormal. And of course, check out mysteriousuniverse.org if you haven't already. That is just a whole collection of amazing information and articles. Lon Strickler does an amazing job. I think I'm getting that right. I'm obviously terrible with names, and I transpose names all the time. It's kind of my personal dyslexia, but I think this is Lon Strickler's group, Mysterious Universe. But just, so much great stuff out there. And it really does, Brent Swanson, this is not meant to be a plug of Brent Swanson, but I really admire the fact that he brings that caliber of journalism to the table, because that alone really does a lot for the field, and a lot for the understanding of these concepts and ideas that are out there. He's got some great. I just read one of his articles the other day, and it's one I'd read a long time ago, but it has to do with Jeff, the mongoose from the Isle of Man, and it's this talking mongoose that appeared to this humble family. And it's really well written. The story is absolutely compelling of what these people experienced, and I think we'll maybe cover that tomorrow on the show. The Jeff, the mongoose, the talking mongoose. It's just a weird tale. It's a very weird tale, and it's not really clear whether Jeff was, and it's spelled G-E-F, but it's pronounced Jeff. Whether Jeff was a spiritual being, whether it was a physical, actual creature, or if it's something somewhere in between, I don't know. Is it a shape shapeshifter? Is it a little person? I don't know, but it's a very strange series of events, and again, very well written, lots of fun to dig into and to explore a little bit. So I like that one a lot, but we'll get into that one tomorrow night. And since we got the green light from him, we'll be covering Brent Swancer's material more on here on the show. I always like to be careful about that, because I know that these guys work hard on their stuff, and while it gives us great fodder for things to discuss on the show, and I always try to give credit where these articles are coming from and where we found them, but they certainly deserve their due, because it's kind of a thankless thing if somebody just keeps coming by and pulling material from you, and you don't get any kind of acknowledgement, at least an acknowledgement. But this one I wanted to get into. I don't know if we have enough time though. I gotta look at the size of this article, because it's kind of a new idea. There's 5 minutes. We should be able to cover this. I remember seeing this before and I was like, oh, I got to talk about this. This is an article that is, again, from unexplainedmysteries.com, and it is having to do with a cryptid that I didn't realize existed. I'd never heard of it before. I hadn't not heard of it, but the fact that I hadn't heard of it, I figured they just weren't there. But the article is Japan's Bigfoot Mystery Endures 50 Years On. I didn't know there was ever any claims of Bigfoot in Japan, so that's new to me. I don't claim to be, all knowledgeable about Bigfoot, but I consider that I have a pretty robust base of knowledge for it. But Japan's answer to the legendary cryptid was first sighted during a mountain drive one night 50 years ago. Although encounters with large bipedal hominids are mostly associated with North America and the Himalayas, and don't forget Australia with their yowie. Nod to the Australians, you know what time it is. Stories of such creatures have been reported for years in countries all over the world, including Russia, China, and even Japan, where it's known as a hibagon. 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 I didn't know that. The story began on July 20th, 1970, when a man driving a pickup truck near Saijo, Hiroshima Prefecture, came across what appeared to be a large ape-like creature on the mountainside. When word of his sighting got out, other locals came forward to share their own stories. Described at around 16 meters tall, gorilla-like, with a face like an inverted triangle, the beast, which became known as the hibagon, soon became a national phenomenon. Even today, the area continues to be associated with the legend of the creature. It still remains unclear what, if anything, people had seen that day, with some having come to regard the hibagon as a symbol of disapproval for the large construction projects happening in the region. Others, meanwhile, believe that it may have been a gorilla that escaped from a nearby zoo. You'd think you would know that. That shouldn't be hard to check into. You just go to the zoo and go, hey, are you missing a gorilla? No? Okay, it's not that. It's not like you can't check on those kind of things, Was there a gorilla missing around 1970? No? Okay, it wasn't that. Done. That's it. That's the whole mystery right there. You can weed that out in a hurry. But it says we were scared of the hibagon, but it was always in good fun, said Saiko Fukajawa, who had been an elementary school pupil at the time of the sightings. It's a sweet memory indeed. So, how old were you when you learned about the hibagon? I was today old. So, I'm interested now in learning more about it. I don't know how many sightings have been reported of the hibagon, but I think it's interesting. Japan is kind of an isolated place in many respects. There's also a lot of legends of the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever, utilizing extinct lava tubes to travel around. So, could they have gotten to the island of Japan by an extinct lava tube? I think maybe. I don't know. I don't know how prolifically our crust is dotted with these subterranean tunnels, but it sounds like it's like a honeycomb of them in a lot of cases. Like there's a lot of miles and miles and miles and miles. There's allegedly tunnels everywhere. So I guess it's possible that it could have crossed from mainland China, maybe even on something that floated. Caught a boat ride over. Who knows? There's all kinds of possibilities, I guess. But could it have been subterranean? Maybe there's an ancient lava tube that led all the way to the Japan to China. Who knows? I don't know. Korea to Japan. I don't know. Any number of possibilities, of course, but that's a new thing to me. I just learned about the Hibagon tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the beauty of the paranormal, is it just keeps going. But that's going to wrap up our show for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry for the sound troubles, but hopefully it'll be straightened tomorrow. That'll do it for us. Stick around for Paisley Wild coming up next, and the Duke after that. But I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Love you guys, and have a great night.